Okay, so when working with linear equations, there are some terminology and conventions that we must be aware of. So if you want to just pause the video now and just have a read through each of the definitions that are on the page, how to work through worded questions and what our opposite operations are, as well as our conventions. Okay, our worked example. So our first worked example is to identify the terms, coefficients, constants, and variables of the expression 9x squared minus 4x plus 3y plus 10. So the first thing we need to do is identify our terms. So in this case, our terms from this expression are 9x squared, negative 4x, 3y, and 10. Our coefficients, which are the letters in front of, are the numbers in front of the letters. So for x squared, our coefficient is 9. For x, our coefficient is negative 4. And for y, our coefficient is 3. It then asks us to identify the constant. So our constant term is the one that doesn't have any letters with it. And so in this one here, it is 10. And then our last one is what is the variable? So what are the letters that we have in this expression? So our variables are x squared, x, and y. Example 2 asks us to simplify the expression. So that's following our algebraic conventions. So our first one, we've got 3 times a plus 4 times n. So remember, a convention is that if we've got a number multiplied by a letter, we don't need to show that sign in between. So here we've got 3a plus 4n. We then don't have any like terms, so that is as simplified as it can be. Our next one, we have brackets. So remember, to expand our brackets, we multiply the term that's out the front by each term that's inside the bracket. So for this first one here, we've got 4 times x, which is 4x. 4 times b is 4b. X times 4 is 4x. And x times negative b is negative bx. We then have a look here and we identify any like terms. So in this case here, 4x and 4x, they both have pronumeral of x. So 4x plus 4x is 8x. So we've got 8x plus 4b minus bx, and that's fully simplified. Again, we are expanding our brackets. So we've got 4x times 3x. Now 4 times 3 is 12, and x times x is x squared. 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. We then have negative 6 times 2x, which is negative 12x, and negative 6 times 1, which is negative 6. We then look and see, is there any like terms? In this case here, we've got x's that are like terms. So we've got 12x squared minus 16x minus 6, and that's fully simplified. We're then going to create an expression for different scenarios. So in example 3 here, our first one reads, the difference between 5t and 4k is divided by 7. So the first thing I do is, as I read through that sentence, is I identify what these words mean. So difference is a subtraction, divided is a division. So the difference between 5t and 4k, so that's going to be 5t minus 4k, is divided by 7. So I then divide that by 7, and that is my expression. In the second one, the sum, so sum means plus, of two different numbers. So two different numbers, I'm going to call them x and y, is divided by 8. So divided by 8, and 2 is subtracted. So I've got my two different numbers, so x plus y, they're being added. It's divided by 8, and 2 is subtracted. And that is my expression. Okay, for example 4, we're writing the equation and then we're going to solve it. So we've got one number is 13 less, so less means subtract, than the other. Their sum is 45. What are the numbers? So I'm going to call my number x. So we've got x plus x minus 13, because one is 13 less. And when they add together, they equal 45. So x plus x is 2x. Now, to move the minus 13 to the other side, I need to do the opposite operation. So we add 13 to both sides. So that means that 2x equals 58. Now, to move the 2 to the other side, it's currently multiplied by x, so we do the opposite, so we need to divide. So we divide both sides by 2, so x is going to equal 29. Now, if x is 29, we then also have a number that's 13 less, so one number is 29, the other one is 29 minus 13, which is 16. So our two numbers are 29 and 16. Our next example here is a number is subtracted from 56. I'm going to say the number is x again. So 66 minus x, the result is multiplied by 6. And the answer is 54. So to move the 6 to the other side, I do the opposite operation to move it. So we divide both sides by 6. It cancels out on the left. So 54 divided by 6 is 9. So we've got 66 minus x equals 9. I can then add the x to both sides. So we've got 66 equals 9 plus x. And to move the 9, I subtract 9. So we've got 57 is x.